So you do have the option, if you want to, for the shrimp and squid, you can just cook them in your curry. A lot of those juices, a lot of those flavors, they'll release in your curry, and they will add some great flavor. I like to steam them ahead of time because it saves me time on my pickup when I go to cook this dish. If I come home from a long day at work, my protein's already steamed in the fridge, ready to go. I can even have my curry made at that point and just really throw my proteins in there, bring it up to temperature, and we're good to go. I would never suggest putting the mussels in there and cooking the mussels from the beginning, from fresh to opening up. One tip I'll tell you about the mussels is before you use mussels or clams in anything, it's good to purge them. So when you purge your mussels and clams, you're going to put them in a mixture of water and kosher salt or whatever salt you have in your house. Mix it really well together. Once you put your clams and your mussels in there, I usually leave them in there for about an hour. Half an hour gets the job done okay. Once they go in there, what's going to happen is they start spitting out anything that's inside of them. So your clams, your mussels, they'll spit out any sand, any grit. I don't know if you've ever had clams before and you get to the bottom of your bowl of clams and there's a bunch of grit in the bottom of the bowl. These mollusks, they tend to have a ton of stuff inside of them. These mussels, when I got them, they had a lot of beards on them. So the beards are like the seagrass and stuff you see growing all over the outside. So I had to clean all those off before I even steamed them. But I feel more comfortable knowing that, there's going to be no debris from the food I'm using when I put it into my curry. It's a much, much cleaner product in the end. The squid, the shrimp, you don't even have to steam them. You could grill the squid, you could grill the shrimp. And then you can add a great layer of smokiness to your curry. I love having those flavors in there. It really is great to have just another layer of flavor. There's so many layers of flavor in curry already. Once you add something smoky in there, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So that's another option you can do. If you want to roast your proteins, that's another option for you as well. Not everybody's comfortable steaming stuff. It can be dangerous. So really it's up to you how you want to customize your curry. The same as the vegetables, your curry, it can have eggplant, it can have any vegetable you want in there. It can be roasted red peppers, it could be pretty much anything you want that makes a good curry for you. You can customize it the way you'd like.
Hey Josh, a couple questions for you. So
yes.
How many cans of coconut milk have you used?
So in this recipe right now, there's 2 cans of coconut milk, two of the 13.5 fluid ounce coconut milks. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. So 2 of these are in there, 2 13.5 fluid ounces.
And the next question is, how would you prepare tofu prior if you wanted to use tofu?
So, all right. So for tofu, what I would do is I'd cut the tofu into bite-sized pieces. And by bite-size, I mean probably about 1 inch by 1 inch. So 1 inch wide by 1 inch tall. Something that you feel comfortable is a single bite if you're digging into a curry. You don't want something so big that, you're going to pick it up and go to eat it and you have to take a bite and put it back in your bowl or, risk someone choking on it. Think about it from that standpoint when you're cutting the tofu. And then I would just toss it in a neutral oil, some salt, some pepper, and roast it. If you want, you could also just throw your curry in there your tofu in there as is. At which point it'll cook through. If you roast it first, what you'll notice is it'll be more firm. It'll be much more firm and it's less likely to break up into smaller pieces when you put it into your curry.
And then another question, do you recommend a ratio for salt and water to purge your mussels?
I make it as salty as ocean water. That's about the ratio of salt to water. Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to shock the shellfish into releasing any debris that's inside of it. You'll notice as soon as you put them in the water, they're going to start bubbling. You'll see bubbles coming out of everything because what they're doing is they're sucking in the water and spitting out anything that's inside of them. So you'll see a lot of activity going on in your water while they're purging. All right. So I'm feeling good. I think we have a great color on the curry now. We have a nice, you can see it's thickened up. Our coconut milk, everything is going in here. So I'm gonna turn off my heat. I'm gonna grab some tongs really quick.
Here in that drawer underneath this the cooktop. The drawer underneath. Yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna do is when we pull our sachet out, there's a lot of good flavors in the sachet. So I'm gonna get my onions off. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeeze it, and I want to get all of that flavor out of it. This is really gonna get more of the aromatics, all that great ginger, lemongrass. And if you wanna let your curry go longer, if you wanna to leave this in here and let it go on a lower temperature for a longer time, that's totally awesome. As long as it can go as long as you want. I mean, for me, this is a good amount of time for what we're doing today. So we got all of our great juices and stuff out of here, and we're just gonna discard this sachet. All right. So our next step, we're gonna blend our curry. So if you want to eat it like this, you're totally great. You can eat it with the onions in there, leave them like this. I myself, I prefer a smoother curry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this immersion blender here. If you don't have an immersion blender, which most people don't, I totally understand. You can put this in the blender. This is a big disclaimer right now. If you're going to put this in the blender, hot liquids in a blender are very, very dangerous. Do not put the whole thing in the blender at once. I would fill the blender up a quarter of the way, just only a quarter. And then what you're gonna do is just pulse your blender a little bit. It'll let some of that steam out. What's gonna happen is if you put the lid on your blender with anything hot in there and you just fire it up right away, your blender is gonna explode. I've had it happen to me many times in my career. It's not fun. You'll be trying to get red curry off your ceiling for the next 2 years, and it stains everything. It's not fun at all. So if you're gonna put it in the blender, use extreme caution. What I like to do is I'll take a towel. I'll take my towel, I'll fold it up into a nice square. I'll put it on top of my blender. And then at that point, I'll pulse it. I'll hit the pulse button once or twice. It'll let some steam out. And then when I fire it up all the way, I'll fire it up and I'll have my hand with the towel over it. That way, if any steam, if any hot liquids come up, my towel is going to take the hit for me. My hand's not going to take it. That's the most important thing. As someone who's had a ton of burns, it's not fun. Be safe, be careful always. It's the most important thing. They take a long time to recover from. And if you get it on your face, it's horrible. So we're gonna go and blend our curry now. So I have my immersion blender. So the reason why we cooked our onions as far as we did, we don't want a tough raw onion flavor, but also we want it to be able to blend easily. So since we've cooked them long for a little while, they'll be soft. I'm gonna try and spare Andy's backsplash here. As you can see, the onions are blending up really nicely. You can see all the steam that's coming out of here. So this is why the blender is the scary part. You can see how hot this is. Switch sides here. we're starting to get a nice smooth curry. And he's gonna kill me. Sorry. I would say if you're using an immersion blender like this, get as tall of a pot as possible because I'm destroying Andy's kitchen right now. I feel horrible. Now, how far you want to take it is completely up to you. You know, in fine dining places or restaurants, you know, we get it pretty smooth. For the sake of Andy's kitchen, I'm gonna just go this far only with it because I do feel really bad. So we're now at the stage where we have everything else we're gonna add. So we have I'm on the right one. So we have fish sauce. This is one of my favorite brands. This is Three Crabs fish sauce. We're gonna put our fish sauce in. We're gonna add our sugar, 1 ounce sugar. And then what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna turn our heat back on. And I'm gonna just bring this back up to a boil really quick. So what we're doing is the sugar's in, the fish sauce is in, and what we're gonna do is we're bringing the heat up so that we can get so everything gets evenly combined with our ingredients that are in there already.
How much fish sauce did you use?
I used 1 ounce. So right now, the sugar's melting in there. The fish sauce is starting to combine with everything else. We're just gonna bring it up to a boil really quick.